Welcome to Video Assignment 2 for History 1301, Module 3, The Early Republic. This video assignment is titled Communication and Farming in the Market Revolution. American life had changed little during the colonial era. On land, people got around either by walking or by horsepower. Roads were little more than trails through the woods. One such road was the Natchez Trace that ran from New Orleans to Nashville. On water, they used sailing ships using existing rivers and streams. There were no canals. In 1800, it took 50 days to move goods from Cincinnati, Ohio to New York City. Goods went down the Ohio River and then down the Mississippi River on a flatboat to New Orleans. There, goods were loaded on a sailing ship that traveled along the Gulf Coast and up the Atlantic coast to New York City. Most manufacturing was done by hand, using the artisan-apprentice relationship. To communicate over long distances, people wrote letters. Because many Americans devoted their energies to solving the problems that inhibited interstate commerce, an economic transformation known as the Market Revolution took shape in the first half of the 19th century. There were three catalysts for the Market Revolution: innovations in transportation, innovations in communications, and innovations in farming. Using these inventions, Americans opened new lands for settlement, reduced transportation costs from farm to market, and eased the selling process between manufacturer and consumer. Local farmers were linked to national and international markets. Finally, farmers became consumers of manufactured goods. This video assignment discusses the innovations in communications and farming: telegraphs, steel plows, reapers, cotton gins. Telegraphs. In 1842, Samuel B. Morse made instantaneous communication possible through his invention of the telegraph. Before the telegraph, long-distance communication was dependent on boats, trains, horses, or people through the use of letters. No word on whether or not spoke signals were effective. A painter by trade, the city of New York commissioned Morse to paint a portrait of the Marquis of Lafayette, who was in Washington, D.C. at the time. While Morse was painting, a horse messenger delivered a letter to Morse from his house stating that his wife was ill. Morse immediately left for his home in New Haven, Connecticut, but did not get home before his wife died. Heartbroken that he was unaware of his wife's health, Morse left painting to work on improving communication. Morse adapted Joseph Henry's work in electromagnetism to develop his concept of the single-wire telegraph. Morse's assistant, Alfred Vail, developed the Morse code as a means to signal the alphabet with Morse. Morse code is nothing more than a series of dots and dashes that stand for letters. For example, 3 dots, 3 dashes, and 3 dots stand for the letters SOS, the Morse code for help. On May 24, 1844, the first intercity telegraph message was transmitted from Baltimore to Washington, D.C. Morse sent the phrase, "What hath God wrought?" which is from the Bible. It is Numbers 23:23. By 1860, 50,000 miles of telegraph wire had been strung. By 1861, telegraph lines reached the West Coast, thus knocking out the Pony Express from business. However, telegraphs and telegrams were not for the everyday person. Those people still wrote letters. Telegrams and telegraphs were used mostly by newspapers and businesses. Steel plows and reapers. The steel plow, invented by John Deere in 1837, dug the prairies of the Midwest. Yes, there was an actual John Deere. The reaper, invented by Cyrus McCormick, tripled the amount of wheat produced in the nation between 1840 and 1860. Together, the steel plow and the reaper turned the great American desert into America's breadbasket. Western farmers soon found the cities in the East to be a market of goods and a good source of credit. As a result, the North became an integrated economy of commercial farms and manufacturing cities. Cotton gins. Southern cotton became the nation's most important export as Southern plantation owners sold cotton worldwide. Thus, the South became the most commercially oriented region of the nation. The South supplied raw materials to the manufacturing cities of the North. This relationship was encouraged by Eli Whitney's cotton gin. The cotton gin quickly separated cotton seed from cotton bolls. An early abolitionist, Whitney had hoped that the gin would decrease the South's need for slaves, but instead it revitalized the interstate slave trade. Simply put, as people poured into the old Southwest, slaves came with their masters. The South reproduced a slaveholding social order in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, and also in Texas. This was aided by Congress's elimination of the international slave trade in 1808. Yet, even though the South was the nation's most commercially oriented region, it was also the nation's most backward region, as it did not diversify its economy. In the South, local transportation and banking systems remained secondary to agriculture in the overall economy, where local transportation and banking systems actually existed. For example, the Republic of Texas actually banned banks. But because of innovations in communication and farming, Americans conquered the Midwest and the Old Southwest and converted local economies into national and international economies. And by 1860, Americans were doing business worldwide. Thank you for watching this video assignment, and as always, may the force be with you.